Hi everyone, it's Simon here from Higher Plane Games and welcome to the very first episode of Brushing the Day Away. I am using Tilt Brush VR, or Tilt Brush by Google rather, for PlayStation 4 using the PSVR. Now, as you can see, it's build 22 and it's not going to have quite the same expertise as the PC version. Similarly, I am also brand new to Tilt Brush, but I wanted to find a interesting way to be creative, to explore being artistic in a VR landscape and world, and I think that's a really good place to do it. Also, in the current climate and the current way the world is, I think we could all use some Bob Rossian relaxation. And whilst his channel has hundreds and hundreds of videos of him painting expertly, I thought we could all have a giggle at me trying to learn something, but also doing it in, as you can see, a 3D space. So, without further ado, let's bring up the old menu. So, there's a couple of things that I'm going to be doing specifically for today, and I have been watching a couple of tutorials before I started just to kind of understand the kind of plight of where I'm going to be going with this. But the first thing I'm going to be doing is turning on something called mirror mode. And what that does, let me just stand back, is place, wrong side, a mirror, so that when we hold something up, as you can see here, we've always got a mirror image going the other way. Now the same thing would in theory happen if we cross that boundary as well, but I'm really only looking at the moment for here. As you can tell, I am completely new, so I'm just going to move that slightly forward so that I've got that line there. No one will judge you for using a mirror line if you want to do something, but the whole point here is that I want to be able to do something where I'm standing in the centre of the piece of art, or the light show that I'm going to be providing today. It's going to be using some really simple tools, so if you're new to Tilt Brush, this will also be a really good thing for you to try out. Just follow along, but don't necessarily do as I do. Do as you do, because you are the creative force. The first thing I'm going to do is choose an environment. So we've got a couple here to choose from. Let's take a look at space. Oh, hello. That's pretty cool, but that's in the way. So what I think I'll do is I'll rebow back to night sky. And that looks nice and chilled out for me. I feel like we're on the moon. The other thing that's worthwhile taking a look at is the light of the ambience of the main light itself. So as you can see, it's kind of changing the hue of what we're doing around us. I'd quite like it to be, yeah, a little bit around there. I want this to be a really muted experience. The second backdrop will be dark, so that's fine. And the fill light is a slate blue. I'm quite happy with that as well. So, once we're done with it, we can't beat the devil out of anything, but we can certainly chuck it away. That's going to be the end of my Bob Rossians, I promise. So, first thing we're going to be doing is getting used to playing with the brush. So what I should have probably done, just to kind of get you into it, or take off the mirror, we'll go, hi, it's Simon. But we'll pop the mirror back on again. We will spin round, and actually that kind of lightning blue, lightning dark blue I guess, is a really good way to kind of start things off. You can use the I think it's a triangle and the square buttons to change the size of your nozzle for when you paint. So the first thing I'm going to be doing just doing some waves. I think we'll do another one here. Vaguely following each other. Do another one here. I'll do another one here. Very simple. Again, I don't want someone's eye to bleed, so I'm going to turn these colours down. Again, I'm just going to follow. I'm not going to do this with everyone. It reminds me of my inability to ice a cake. I'm just going to move that slightly further back. Yeah, we'll do a pinky as well, just down here. That can go slightly further back, but as you can see, we're making stoof for the other side. Now, the yellow is going to be bright, so that's going to be very much an accent to what we're doing. So what I think we'll do, I think what we'll do, we're going to move this down, almost like a ski slope. In fact, you could almost go a I might even change this to an ember. We'll just do a little bit there up on top. And perhaps, depending on where we're going to sit, in fact, you know what, we could still do a little dot there. You could do it all the way around. That might be a bit much, but if it is a bit much, we can always delete it later. And as you can see, there we go. The beauty of working in 3D is that you can see exactly what you're doing in different places. So by pressing and holding the move controllers here, you can make yourself the size of an elephant, not the size of a man. Go from there, and it looks like a kind of wallpaper space. What else should we do for? Maybe we could have a little bit of smoke there. Now the smoke should be almost non-existent, I guess, and maybe it should be from far away so that we're creating some depth into things. As you can see, the smoke kind of works really quite like a layered effect. So you could almost do it like you're coming towards it and moving through. Then you move through the smoke and see the thing that you want to go into. Or when you're inside, let's make ourselves a human again. Can you see the depth that then creates, so that we aren't just looking at what we've got here, but we're also looking at the smoke behind us, and then the mountains, and then the sky, or the embers. Now that smoke is only in front of us at the moment, which is fine. So let's move this around. Wow, proper chunky now. I think what we'll do, let's focus the smoke still around here, but we'll have it kind of wisp out a little bit just around here. And again, if we do like a big wisp, really make it go high. Might even let it go over our heads, but what I'd like to do as we're starting to be a bit more purpley because of the sky that's coming in, let's just give it just a couple of little squirts of accent of the purple around. Just a few higher up as it starts to become the night sky, so to speak. Let's push that right down. How does that look? Nice. Okay. Whilst we're back in here again, I think I'd like to do another little light. So we've got the electric light blue, the neon pink. Let's try a quite dark red. The idea here again is much more around accenting something, so maybe we can do something like that. Because this one's the bottom one, just make it whatever you want it to be. I'm going to redo that one. It's not often that I'll delete something. There we go. There is something immensely satisfying with watching that. But look, you can go right in. Do 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 do. I'll go right out. And this is the thing. See, I'm looking at this as a 2D object. So I want people to stay in a very specific place to see what I'm doing. But as soon as you move away from that, in a 3D world, therein lies the issue. So where I'm using (2D) plates, and I should have added that, shouldn't I? Never mind, we'll add that there. It can be non-identical. Remember, we are newbies to everything here. You can see the differences, can't you? Let's pick that colour back up again. today we're very much looking at just doing something where you're stationary and in a 2D environment so that you can kind of look around. But we won't necessarily be doing that all the time. Depends on how quickly I learn how to do stuff. Okay. Time for a little bit of experimentation, I think. Let's do some dots. So again, we're going to go nice and small on the brush. Do some there as well, I think. But isn't it interesting how just very simple tools can make something actually look quite decent, even though I have literally no skills in art whatsoever, as you can clearly see. Okay. The last thing that I wanted to kind of do was to start looking at how we can bring in something that's more 3D like to things. Now we've already got, and apologies, this is going a bit pixelated for no specific reason. Red, blue, pink, a little bit of green and some yellow on the embers. Orange there. I feel like if we do some green petals, and we'll do them, some will be behind. The mist. Ah, we've turned on mirror still, haven't we? Let's dive off. Now is it complex? There we go. Because we aren't going to necessarily see the detail because it's going to be behind everything that's going on here. So we're adding depth. And there we have it. I think that looks pretty damn good. The PS4 is clearly topping out somewhat with some of its ability to do stuff. But I think that looks good. And it's helped me understand a little bit more about how you can do things over time. I think the last thing that I'd probably want to do, let's go exceptionally small here. Is that a comet? I'll make it a shining light red one. This could be too much. Ah, we've got the... Let's turn off the mirror. There we go. Actually, let's just make it a small one. And we'll go... So... Not looking too bad. Let's teleport into here. It thinks this is the floor, that's why. There we go. There we have it. The very first episode, brushing the day away. See what you can think of about how you could put yourself into some kind of weird little portal. I'll do something to the sky, pop in some smoke maybe, add in some backdrop. Admittedly behind us is a bit barren, but before Tilt Brush has a spaz fit and flops out, I think we're good for today. So, let me know if this is something that you'd be interested in seeing again in the future. And happy painting and stay safe. Bye for now.